to the cloud. Okay. Good morning. My name is Kim Allen, and this is my business class. So today we're going to hear from a wonderful local businesswoman. She's going to share about her business experience, her education, career path, and there will be time at the end for you to ask questions. My class is going to be asking questions. And yeah, so go ahead, Brittanie. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Tell us your story.
All right. Hi, guys. So I'm Brittanie Adairehikes, and I own two businesses. I own Brittanieadairehikes, and I own Brittanie Adaire Baking Co. So I'll start from the beginning. So I grew up in the Central Valley of California. It is where most of your produce comes from. It's where all your almonds come from, and all of your raisins. So I grew up in a tiny town. My high school had 1,000 kids total. So my graduating class was like 300 kids. And I attended a junior college here. I was majoring in biology. So I thought I was going to go into nursing. So that was the dream, become a nurse. And then in junior college, I had a professor inspire me to become a doctor. So I said, okay, I'm going to become a doctor. I moved to Los Angeles in 2010 to attend college there at Cal State LA. So I was working through college. My first job out of high school was actually working in a gym. So I worked in Gold's Gym throughout junior college. That's how I supported myself. I was still living at home. So when I moved to Cal State Los Angeles, I had actually saved up a lot of money. When I was working in junior college my last 2 years, I actually got a job at the IRS. And so I was my job was to correct taxes. So I would look for mistakes on taxes and I would code them. And then I would send them along. And so I did that for like 3 seasons, I think. That was a full-time job. So I worked 8 to 9 hours. I worked from 3:30 p.m. to midnight. And then I would wake up at 6:30, 7 in the morning and go to junior college. And then I would do my biology classes, all of that. I was a full-time student. So I was taking 12 units. And then I would have maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour break in between school and work. And then I'd go to work for 8 to 9 hours. During tax season, it was like overtime, so sometimes it'd be like 10 hours. But that job paid extremely well. So this was back in 2007, I think I started, 2008. I was getting paid close to $14 an hour at the IRS back then. So minimum wage now is only $15 in California. Back then I was getting paid $13.50 to do this. So to me, it was worth the sacrifice. I saved up all the money I could. I was still living at home. So I know everyone wants to move out of home as soon as they graduate. I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Stay at home. Save your money. Invest your money. Save it. Because once you get out there, rent is crazy. It will eat up 60 to 70% of your check. That will be rent. That will be your money will be rent. So stay at home. I stayed at home and I moved to Los Angeles. So I had a really good savings. So I started dorming. That was the easiest option. And it's actually fairly affordable back then in 2010. And it includes all your utilities. So I was paying, I think, like $650 a month to dorm and included all the utilities. So that's a really good deal. I don't know what it is now, but so yeah, I was majoring in biology, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. And I really had no dedication to that dream. It was just something I thought I should do. And so I kind of was just disconnected from it, and I was kind of like, I don't even really like working in the lab, but I just didn't know what to do because I loved biology. So my senior year of college, I went on this volunteer research trip, and we went out to the Mojave Desert for 3 days, and we did research. And so we would hike out there at like 7 in the morning, carrying all these supplies, and we would go out and catalog plants. So we'd go out and we'd observe and be like, what plants are around, you know, in the area. And we'd look at there was geologists looking at the rocks, there were hydrologists looking at the water, all of this. So we were out there, and I realized, oh my God, this is super fun. I really enjoy this. And I didn't know much of the plants yet, but we would stay up all night and we would research the plants. Like, we would take pictures of all the plants and then go online and like try to find what plant, like what they look like. We just type it in Google, you know, like yellow flower, pointy, you know, stems, whatever. And it would come up, and I really enjoyed that. And I was like, oh, I really enjoy hiking. I enjoy learning about plants. I enjoy educating others about this, because when I came back home, I was like putting albums on my Facebook of plants, you know, as if people cared, but I cared. So I continued to do it. And that's when I realized, okay, when I graduate, I want to do something outdoors. I don't want to work in a lab. I don't enjoy the lab. And so I graduated in 2014, and the jobs that were available to me at the time, I didn't really want, again, because I didn't want to work in a lab. And most of the biology jobs, not all, but most of them, when you go into them, they're going to be lab jobs. It's going to be usually processing lab work, and they're going to want you for graveyards. You're going to be working from like 9 p.m. to like 6 a.m. Not all the time, but most of my friends, that's what they were doing, because those are the easiest, like, entry-level jobs to get into. So I went on a few of those interviews, and I was like, I don't want to do, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's like, you don't get to sleep, you know? So I didn't get hired for any of them, and I was really grateful for that. I worked as a server for, man, quite a few years. From 2014 to like 2019, I worked as a server. But in between that time is when great transformation happened and great awakenings. And so I was working 2 serving jobs in 2016, 2017. And I was making good money with it for myself. But still, I was like, I have to figure this out. What do I want to do in life? And then for some reason, I started thinking about biotech, because back in school, I had taken a biocalculus class, and we learned a lot about biotech. And I did enjoy biotech. So, and you're learning about population sizes and things like that. And I was like, okay, maybe I can go into biotech because it's up and coming. It's not saturated. There's a lot of money in there. And I was just kind of focused about money. Like, I just want to make a living. And so I went to LA Trade Tech, because I had actually just taken a class. I took microbiology just for the fun of it at LA Trade Tech with my friend. It was, I don't know, it was really fun. And so they had a biotech program. So I joined it. I show up the first day of class, and our class started at 7 in the morning. I show up the first day of class exhausted. And then there's like maybe 6 of us in this class. And then someone comes in and is like, this class is canceled. Only 6 people signed up. We need at least 15 to fund a class. I was like devastated. Like, the universe is like, no, you're not doing biotech. But I don't give up easily. So then I go to PCC, and I'm like, I want to take biotech. Get me into biotech. And they're like, well, we're already on the 2nd class of biotech. You need to take the first one. And I was like, no. I'm a biologist. I have my degree. Just get me in the 2nd class. So I'm trying. They're like, no, you can't do that. You don't have the class, the prereqs. Like, you're a biologist, but you don't have the prereqs for biotech. So then I just felt like the universe was like, shut the door on it. Like, no, like, you don't really want to do biotech. You just don't know what you want to do. So in 2017, I went through this life-altering situation. My uncle, he was only 45. He got diagnosed with 3 terminal cancers in February of 2017. And then I was like, oh, like I hadn't had to experience something like that. You know, I was very fortunate. I've only had to experience like my great grandparents dying. Like, I didn't experience a whole lot of premature death, right? Growing up, thankfully. So it was like this whole thing of like, he's only 45. What do you mean? Like, we didn't even know he was sick. So what to help take care of him and just be there for my family. And he had asked me, "Are you working in biology? Because I know you went to school for biology." And he was always buying me these like biology books and cool stuff. And I said, technically, no, I'm not. And then that's when it hit me. I was like, I want to do what makes me happy. I want to fulfill my dreams. And I loved hiking. At that time I was hiking like sometimes twice a week. I hiked every week at that time, and people were always calling, DMing, texting me like, "Hey Brittanie, my family's coming into town, where should I take them? Hey Brittanie, I want to go on a hike, where should I go?" You know, all this stuff. What shoes should I buy? What, you know, all these questions. And I was like, I want to open a hiking business. So my uncle did pass away. He passed away, I think, a few weeks after that, after I had decided I'm going to start my business this year. I said, when my uncle's better, I'm going to start a business. Well, he didn't get better. He passed away. But I just made that promise to myself, and I felt like I made it to him in a way too. So that year I enrolled myself at PCC. I took an entrepreneur class. So if you end up going to PCC and you want to be an entrepreneur, make sure you get in contact with Dr. Shediak. I know Mrs. Allen knows her. She's an amazing woman, and I think she's part of the reason why I was successful in my business. She's very inspirational, and she connects you with people that can help you. So I took that class in August of 2017. I enrolled, loved it, ended up meeting a woman who became my business coach a few months later. And so I started in that class, I just started saying, I have a hiking business. I have a hiking business, even though like I really had nothing. So I had a phone number and an email, and that was my business. And then I made business cards, and I made brochures, and I just, you know, and I filed for a business license, which is super easy in the US. And I got on Airbnb experiences, and they helped me a lot. And then I got on Groupon. And by December 2017, I got my first client. So like in August 2017, I started saying, I have a business. And then by December, I got my first client. And he was actually my Uber driver. He was taking me to work. And I just told him like, oh yeah, I run a hiking business. And he's like, oh, I would pay for that. Like, can I get your number? So I gave him my number, and he booked me. And that was the start of my hiking business. And from there, it progressed and it grew. And last year, yeah, 2019, I got hired by the YWCA. I got to lead 30 young girls on a hike. And yes, I got paid a lot of money for it, if you're wondering. And last year, I also started my baking business, Brittanie Adaire Baking Co. It's all vegan breads. And that one I just kind of started by accident. I just started selling my vegan banana bread. And all my coworkers loved it so much. They're like, if you ever sell this, like, let me know. I want to buy it. So I was actually trying to hit a financial goal last year. And I just started selling the bread, and it completely took off. And it is now a big source of income for me, because with coronavirus, I can't lead hikes. So, but everyone still wants baked goods, and I can do socially distanced drop-offs. Like I don't have to come in contact with anyone. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm actually going to be on a talk show tomorrow for my baking business. And I have my bread in a local shop here in the Central Valley, actually. It's a smoothie place, like health food. And so they put my bread in there because it's vegan. And yeah, that's pretty much my story and what I've gone through. So
Great. Thank you so much, Brittanie. We have a lot of questions in the chat. Students, go ahead and add your questions in the chat right now, and I'll moderate that and ask them all. All right, so was it stressful? I know you talked about working a job at the same time as you were going to school, but you didn't mention, was it hard? Was it stressful? It sounded like you had a lot of hours.
Yeah, it was very hard. It was very stressful. It was very little sleep. A lot of crying sometimes. Like, I'm so tired. Yeah, it was very stressful to balance. I had to be, I have to be very strict with my time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what career advice has had a big impact on you and your goals?
The best career advice, one, follow your heart. And I know that's cliche, but it's so true. Once you start working in your passion, the money will come, the customers will come. If you're doing something you hate because you think it's going to make you a lot of money, even if it makes you a lot of money, you're not going to feel fulfilled, and it's going to feel stressful.
Hmm.
And I mean, doing what you love is stressful, but it's a different kind of stress, and you're still enjoying it. So that's one. And then two, just remember there's we live in a world of abundance, and so there's enough for everybody. And so work as a team with people, work as a community. Even if there's a competition company, get to know them and even like support their products and see if you guys could even like work together, and talk to everybody about your business. Like, don't think like, oh my gosh, someone's gonna steal my idea, unless it is like a tech thing where you have like a code. I know that's very like secretive, but other than that, for the most part, like, share with people your business, because you never know who's gonna be like, oh, I have a client for you, I have a resource for you. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's interesting. And when you were hiking, how did you find different hiking trails? And do you still
On
hike?
what was that? Sorry.
And do you still hike?
Yeah, so I do still hike. Now I'm having to relearn the Central Valley hikes because I came back home right before the pandemic. Um, but yeah, I found a lot of my hikes online, and on Instagram. I follow like all the hiking accounts, and I join hiking groups, like on Facebook and
That's
stuff.
how I found you. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of that, and then just reading blogs and
Hmm.
asking people like if they went on like a secret hike. I'd like, oh, where is that? And
Hmm.
yeah.
Do you have any advice to someone who's struggling to stay productive to reach their goals when they have a lot to balance?
Yeah, I struggle with that myself at times. I go through waves of that. My advice is, one, try to create a schedule, but don't create a super tight schedule. Be realistic with yourself. Um, if you want to be productive, so say you want to, I don't know, like add something to your website, or you want to start a website or something like that, then write it on your planner, put it in your phone, so when you wake up it's reminding you website, like, so your mind's like tracked on that. And make sure most people's brains work in like 30-minute blocks, so it's like we can be real focused for like half an hour, and then after that our brains are like, I don't want to do this, like I'm tired. So make sure you're giving yourself like 20 minutes breaks in between each thing, and don't
We
pack
talked
your
about that.
days.
Don't
Yeah,
pack days.
yeah, don't pack your days. Like, it might seem like the thing to do, like, oh, but in reality you're probably not going to want to do it, and you're going to feel
Mm-hmm.
drained.
Mm-hmm.
But just and then me, I always keep my goals in mind. Like, I have a vision board and I put it at the foot of my bed, like on the, like, put at the wall. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm seeing like why I'm working so hard. Like, I keep my goals in my mind, and, have your short-term goals. Like, if you're like, oh, I want to, I don't know, make $100 this week, or, oh, I want to like launch this product this week. Like, keep that goal in your mind to stay on track to finish it.
Hmm. And what's the talk show you're going to be on tomorrow?
It's Central Valley Talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah, it's a simple name.
I'll put all the links below if anybody wants to get in touch with Brittanie, we'll put her links below. So We talked about in class about competition and that there's direct competition. That would be another hiking business or another banana bread business. And then there's indirect competition. So somebody asked, do you have competition with your hiking business? Do you have both of those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like REI, they offer hikes.
Oh.
Yeah, there's been other local, like one guy, he follows me on Instagram. He started like me. He would just hike all the time. And then I noticed he started his own hiking business. And I was like, oh, congrats. Like, that's amazing. I have another guy on Instagram. He reached out to me. We had a phone chat during quarantine. He saw that I take people hiking, and he's a personal trainer. And he also takes people hiking as like a training. And he reached out to me. We had this amazing talk. So I do have competition with my bread business. Definitely. There's not as many vegan businesses here in the Central Valley. It's kind of nice. It's not saturated yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there are still vegan bakers, and I'm actually friends with them too. Like, I'll buy their vegan cookies, their vegan breads. They'll buy my vegan breads, vegan donuts, all that. We support each other. I do have competition, but I see it as it's a motivator. And it's also like, oh, I can network with this person, because if their business is bigger than mine, doing better, I can reach out to them, get to know them, and then they can help me. Like, they can be like, oh, go to this resource or go to that resource, or you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and then they know where the customers are. A lot of us shout each other out on Instagram. So yeah, it's there.
I saw that. I actually follow. I saw that. Somebody asked, what's the coolest place that you've been hiking?
Oh, I don't know. I've been to so many. I think Yellowstone National Park.
Mm.
If you go to Yellowstone, because it's on a volcano, like, you're on top of a volcano. The whole
In
park
America, right?
is a volcano, and it's active. It's active.
Oh,
It's kind of scary, but that's why there's all the geysers, like the smoke, the steam coming out, and then all of the colors. It's amazing. You feel like I feel like I was on another planet. Like,
mm.
it's so gorgeous, but also so interesting that we're on an
Mm.
active volcano.
Is that the only volcano in America?
Yeah, I think that's the only active volcano, and it's huge.
Huh,
So
neat.
yeah.
Do you think it was harder to make your business than you thought it would be?
Uh no, I think it's about what I thought it. I think I thought it was going to be harder. Like, I think I thought it was going to be um just, I don't know. Like, it was such a scary thing for me to do. It has definitely been hard, but I don't think it's been harder than I thought it would be. I think
Mm.
it's a little bit not I don't it's not easy, but it's a little bit easier than I thought it would be.
Wow. What class did you take at PCC? It was the business management, right?
It was
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Did you
So,
write a business plan in the class?
yeah, we did a short one. She taught us how to do short, kind of smaller business plans, and then how to, like, find your target market, like more like target research. So it was kind of like shortcuts, but with, statistics behind it, of like how to get out there, kind of like at a quicker pace.
Right. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, you can always expand it now that you know the format. We
Yeah.
actually we just finished writing our entire business plan in class. Whew.
Wow. Congrats.
Okay, I think I have time for two more questions. Is there anything you could change? If there's anything you could change, what would it be?
About my business. I would, I guess it would be that I would have, like, overcome my fear earlier on, and I would have went full force into it earlier on without the fear, because something people don't talk about is the fear of putting yourself out there, and the fear of, like, going up to people and being like, hey, I have a bit, like, making proposals and stuff is terrifying. And I was such a shy person. So I would change, like I would have overcome that fear earlier on and my business would be bigger now. But
Hmm.
yeah.
I would have never thought you were a shy person. So friendly. And are there any obstacles that you overcame that you can tell us about? I mean, you talked about that shyness.
Yeah, definitely I'm still in the process of them. Like I've hired a coach recently to help me with overcoming mental blocks. A lot of entrepreneurs, especially if you didn't grow up in the entrepreneur setting, or if you grew up a little bit in poverty, you can have blocks like with money and success, and it's like you want all these things, but your subconscious mind is like, oh, you can't do it, or like you don't deserve it, or like, this is crazy. So you kind of have all this self-doubt. So I've had to really overcome a lot of that and just being like, I deserve this, I want this, I'm gonna get it. And so it's just like leveling up, and also knowing, I guess in the entrepreneurship, you do lose like friendships and things like that because you're changing at such a exponential rate. Like you're just changing at a fast pace, and a lot of people knew the old you and they're just like, I don't like this new you.
Mm.
And so I've had to overcome a lot of that, of like being okay with being like, okay, we're gonna go our separate ways, and you know kind of
Mm.
being, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Hey, everybody, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.